A punch cut in clay, replicated 3,000 years apart with the same negative space fingerprint. Ur-3 seal X17 and Roman seal R203 carry an identical punched motif. How is that possible?
Welcome to Stargate Codex. I am Dr. Elias Thorn, lead historian and decoder of ancient systems. In this episode, we interrogate a material technology often dismissed as routine, seals and signets. Prepare to decode the pattern.
The anomaly prompts the question that structures our analysis. Why does a negative cut originally described in Nippur appear, metrically intact, in a late Roman lead impression catalogued in a monastic hoard? What mechanisms preserve such a precise proportional schema across millennia? First, the objects and their documentary anchors. Ur-3 seal X17 was excavated in the Nippur strata and published in the 1929 Ur-3 catalogue, plate XLII, listed under inventory X17. The object is a lapis inlaid cylinder, 28.4 millimeters circumference, motif tread 12.6 millimeters, punch depth 1.15 millimeters. Those numbers are not decorative, they are measurable constants. The Mary Lapis Register records M44, a signet plate entered in the Mary Archive Lapis Register with the same motif skeleton, and a published plate note indicating a 3:5 proportional relation between motif diameter and intermotif spacing. The late Roman impression, Roman seal R203, appears in the monastic hoard catalogue of St. Pietro, accession MH 1839, item R203. Consider the improbability. Identical punched negatives mean identical negative space alveoli, the same axial ratios, and, in laboratory terms, the same cutter geometry signature. Random convergence fails to explain recurrent microstriations and proportional constants. The simplest explanatory model is custodial transmission and deliberate replication. We begin in Mesopotamia. Ur-3 corpora across Nippur, Ur, and Tel al-Mukhair list hundreds of cylinder seal impressions tied to temple and palace accounts. Several envelope texts, CBS 6472 and Nippur 3219 among them, attach the seal to individuals with cultic epithets. In those instances, the seal is not merely fiscal. Lexical clusters such as Gesh-Shan and Gala appear alongside commodity lists, signaling ritual validation. Transliteration matters. The reverse of X17 presents the cluster transliterated as Digir tu Gu, an invocation cluster found in temple authentication contexts. The Mari entry M44 reproduces the same cluster in registry. Skye Alden's Catalogue Cross-Reference 3.2 reproduces the squeezes and full transliteration for direct comparison. Now, a short point. Numbers speak where images mislead. The 3:5 ratio cropping up in measured specimens is a metric constant rather than stylistic coincidence. In X17, the 12.6 to 21.0 millimeter relation recurs in Mari M44 and in later medieval matrices. These proportional constants become the key. Move forward to medieval custody. Crusader-era and monastic chest inventories repeatedly list seal matrices as separately inventoried items. Ring-mounted punches, bronze matrices, sealed boxes, often marked with restricted access language. A 12th-century Templar matrix in the Corpus Sigillorum Templarorum, folio T-12, reproduces a triadic celestial motif with the same negative space proportions as X17. Papal registers corroborate continuity. The Papal Bulla Register, Vatican Archive BV 1223, lists a series of lead impressions using geometric dividers and press motifs that conform to the same 3:5 skeleton. Rosicrucian impressions in 17th-century registers, RIR 1615,
and Masonic signets in 18th-century lodge rolls, ED 1723, LDM 1751, show variants recast over a conserved metrical frame.
Why is the punch the crucial element? Because a punch, the negative cut, functions as a mathematical key. When copied or transferred, proportional relations remain. The number of radial spokes, the spacing between dots, the axis to margin ratio. These are indexical markers. Initiates trained in the corpus read ratios and microsignatures, where an outside administrator reads subject matter.
Short observation. The punch is a portable codex.
Forensic evidence supports custodial transfer. Micrograph plates reproduced in Alden's appendix show identical cutter microstriations on a Templar matrix and an 8th-century Byzantine signet, Monasterium Collection MC0876. Metallurgical analysis indicates compatible alloy recipes and recutting patterns consistent with deliberate copying rather than independent carving using a convergent aesthetic.
Curious. How would such a lineage travel? The archival trail points to primary custody nodes, temple treasuries, and monastic chests. Vectors include temple emissaries, clerical custodians, and military orders. Secondary repositories emerge in clandestine lodges and urban private archives. Exchange lists and chest inventories repeatedly note restricted access terminology, phrases translated as not for public sealing and sealed by the eyes of the cult.
When motifs reappear across geographic distance, the pattern is not diffusion by imitation alone. It is institutional memory encoded into a material matrix. The punch carries lineage, and the object becomes a portable proof of jurisdiction. Legal force attaches to the negative itself. The impression is the public face. The punch is the private credential. Apply Skye Alden's geometry of power, and the interpretation clarifies further. Read structurally. Layer 1, jurisdictional encoding in the punch. Layer 2, iconography as lineage marker. Layer 3, proportional constants as mnemonic cipher. A sealed document becomes a stack of compressed authorities, each layer readable to a trained cohort and opaque to casual inspection. Consider a sealed transfer within this frame. A temple issues allotments using a punch that indexes ritual legitimacy. A crusading agent carries the matrix west, depositing it in a monastic chest. Centuries later, a lodge recuts the punch, preserving proportional constants while allegoricizing the iconography. The line of succession passes through custody, not merely stylistic influence. Short turn. The matched negatives are not curiosities. They are signatures of transmitted authority. For verification, consult the primary materials. Key references I cite here include Nippur Field Report, 1929, Plate XLI2, Ur 3 Seal X17, Mari Lapis Register, M44, Monastic Horde Catalogue, MH 1839, Item R203, Corpus Sigillorum Templorium, Folio T12, Papal Bullae Register, BV 1223, Rosicrucian Imprint Register, RIR 1615, Lodge Rolls, ED 1723 and LDN 1751. Transliterations, CBS 6472, NIP UR3 219. Micrograph plates and squeezes are in the episode notes. If you examine the plates, you will see three technical markers recur: the proportional constant, the 3-to-5 motif to spacing relation, the negative space alveoli signature, and the cutter microtrace. Together, they form the evidentiary core of the Seal Codex thesis.
The decisive conclusion: seals are a conserved technology of authority. They compress jurisdictional claims, initiatory authentication, and mnemonic ciphers into durable negatives preserved across centuries. The persistence of a punch is a material line of succession for power.
For full documentation, consult the episode notes at stargatecodex.com/notes, where high-resolution squeezes, transliterations, and metallurgical micrographs are posted. Submit corrections or source contributions there. Rigorous archival debate strengthens the decoding. The archive never lies. The text remains. That concludes our historical tracking of this specific anomaly within the Codex. The records demonstrate that behind the curtain of standard history lies a repeating, systemic mechanism of knowledge transmission and governance preserved across generations. We have laid out the timeline, parsed the primary source texts, and exposed the architectural blueprint. The archive remains open for those who know how to read it.